expand the executive through the BBI bill may be in limbo, but the search for President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor is on top gear. Sources indicate that the coronation of National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi's coronation as a Mount Kenya spokesman late last month is a calculated plan to divide the region's vote to cap Deputy President William Ruto's influence in the region ahead of the presidential vote next year. But with the legal bureaucracies threatening to dismantle the BBI bill, President Uhuru Kenyatta is presented with at least 3 possible scenarios, including bailing out on ODM leader Raila Odinga to support his handshake frustrated Deputy William Ruto. Here is Musa Salah with the analytical possibilities of the 2022 presidential election.
It was a sign of truce between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. But the handshake between the rivals come allies on the stairs of Harambee House in 2018 could be just the political charm Odinga needed to trounce his greatest political opponent, Deputy President William Ruto, whose growing influence in the country seems to arc his rivals.
The leading candidates at present are 2 men, Raila Odinga and William Ruto.
Odinga enjoys the ear of his newly found political ally, President Kenyatta, who seems to be fighting an internal dilemma on whether to pick Odinga as his successor or not.
I have no doubt in my mind the game plan of the handshake is to give Raila the presidency.
And the whole Kisumu tour and all those things was some sort of indirect endorsement. If you listen to the praises that were being passed around, my brother this and that, and we have, since the handshake, we have done very well. Look at the fruits of the, but the official statement that I endorse so and so may not come, because what the Raila people would want to avoid is a Moi Uhuru scenario, where Moi said the only person he trusts is Uhuru, and then it didn't work out, the kind of boomerang.
But with a punctured political vehicle that is largely perceived to have been created to take the opposition leader to State House next year, the crafters of the BBI could be forced back to the drawing board, presenting the president with 3 scenarios. An overruling verdict from the Court of Appeal against the High Court ruling that declared the BBI process unconstitutional could water the Kenyatta-Odinga seedling, a relationship that could see the two form a formidable force in the 2022 presidential election.
A sizable number of the people will stick with William Ruto. And it's not the intention of the handshake, I think, to get the entire chunk. I think the handshake team will be comfortable with just 30-40% of Mount Kenya. And you can see they're already moving towards solidifying their support within Mount Kenya East. So if they can get Mount Kenya East and a few votes from the other mountain, the other side of the mountain, they are good to go.
To say that they are going to divide the mountain, this and that, is to assume that people of the mountain are sheepish, that they just follow. And the record is that they don't do that. Yes, they do look seriously at what they think their interests are. And so when they go into the ballot booth, they're saying, now, who is good for me here? Not what ethnic community they are in, who is good for me here.
But even with a presidential endorsement, Odinga's race to State House could be an uphill task. According to political pundits, the vote-rich mountain would back Ruto if the Kenyatta-Odinga bromance lasts until next year's general election, a possibility that the BBI core principles have planned to level out through drawing a running mate from the region to divide Ruto's perceived allegiance in the mountain.
And that, of course, would mean there will be somebody from the mountain, somebody that who is comfortable with, and this is well staged, because some of the divisions are artificial. You see, and once you create like an artificial war between West and East, certainly the East will get together to rally behind Muturi or wherever it is. I think most likely Muturi, and that's all you need. You get that east vote from Ruto is gone.
The issue of a Kikuyu being a running mate is neither here or there, and it is kind of an awkward expectation. Yes, there are people trying to push that, but I think it's uncalled for. What happens is that the statements by leaders who assume that because they spoke, everybody is following them, turns out to be wrong. Because the voter usually has more sense than the leaders. So when they go to vote, they don't vote the way the leader wants. They vote what they consider to be their interest. That's how KANU won in 1961.
National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, who was coronated as Mount Kenya spokesman last month, has been seen as a possible Odinga running mate, but Muturi's climb to the top would be competitive. Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria, and former Gatanga legislator Peter Kenneth are also eyeing the top seat.
So the candidates are there, and they have been there before. Peter Kenneth looks as if he might try his luck again. But you see, the issue is not whether there is somebody from Mount Kenya or not. And Muturi, if he declares, because he has not. The issue would be how attractive is that person in terms of national projection. And that projection should be in such a way that people believe in this person. So far, Muturi has a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. It's not enough for a few people in Mount Kenya West and a few other people in Mount Kenya East to say he is now the one.
However, President Kenyatta's second option would be to mend ways with his handshake-frustrated deputy William Ruto. But pundits argue that the presidential flair between the two has grown too dim to be reignited.
Where things have gone, the rift that has developed between Ruto and Uhuru, where things have gone, it will be very awkward if Uhuru were to engage a reverse gear and go back to Ruto. It will be very awkward. A lot of the people who respect him will lose that respect. Because you see, there's something that keeps them apart.
They appear to have separated paths. They're no longer together. Since it's become very open, the best thing he might think of doing is just keep quiet. Although he had said at one time he will surprise people by whoever he says is the one. So we wait to see.
With Odinga left out in the cold, if the handshake fruit turns sour, Odinga and Ruto may be forced to swallow their pride and realign their political stars. But that route may also be hard for the once-upon-a-time friends. The biggest nightmare for a Raila-Ruto alliance would be who becomes what in the arrangement that could see Odinga deputize Ruto and vice versa.
If BBI doesn't go through, it would mean Raila will have to deputize Ruto. How will he face Kenyans as a Ruto's deputy? They're hypothetical.
Why, if you have a chance, should you want to be number two? Raila's record is that he never goes for number two. He always he's run about 4 times and losing 4 times. So he keeps on saying hajaonja.
For Ruto, it will be a big gamble. A big gamble in terms that once he works with Raila, he loses the mountain. Once you lose the mountain then gets a candidate of their own. And they become a very dangerous card that even Raila and Uhuru will have a problem facing. Raila and Ruto will have a problem facing.
As for Ruto, he also thinks he has a very good chance. So why would he go for number 2 when he has... So these two are going head to head.
With all the political heavyweights gunning for the coveted seat come August next year, the political vehicles that will propel the post-2022 campaigns will largely depend on how the handshake will end up. Musa Salah, TV 47.
Such an